You can support this show at patreon.com/ASA podcasting.
The wasteland is a host of apocalyptic mess as the sole survivor wanders out about to see the rest. Nuclear explosions sending out the gamma rays from deep within the core, frozen atomic waves. From deep within the core, frozen atomic waves.
Hello and welcome to the 495th edition of the Fallout Feed. I am Andrew, joined by a flock of my favorite Fallout faces. Tonight, I've got Ray. What's up, Ray?
Hello, hello.
And also Jess. What's going on, Jess?
Hey, Andrew. Greets, everybody.
Greets to you. Tonight on the show, we got some gameplay off the top, some feedback from some quests that we went over last week. We'll see what Sean, Solior, Steve, and Lee thought about their adventures. We'll also get into a Fallout Terminal Velocity, and we got some sneaky Iguana Bits news. Jess is teasing me with some Kumail news. I'm trying to boggle my mind. I told her to keep it secret because I want to hear about it on the show, so I can I'm hoping that they're bringing back the Endor kids. That's what I'm hoping that the big reveal is, that he and his wife are doing more
Big
episodes.
podcast news. Let's go.
Yes! Let's do it. All right. So some Iguana Bits, and so that looks like be a pretty good show tonight. So let's roll right into it. See what everybody's been getting into. Hey Jess, do you have a chance to play any video games this week?
I have. I played some video games.
Good. What'd you play?
I was telling y'all right before the show, we were talking about it a bit, that after the show last week, I had a bit of a computer crash. So that's my excuse for not playing Fallout London this week. You see, I had to had to work on my computer, get some stuff rebuilt, reinstalled. Like, it was some work. It was some work. So that's why I didn't play Fallout London again.
Was that an assignment? You were supposed to play Fallout London?
Yeah, back in September. Well, I mean, since September, pretty much. Like since October, I haven't touched it. But I want to, but I played a lot of Starfield this week. I won't belabor it too much on the podcast, but suffice it to say, I'm diving deep into all the creations and mods that are available on Xbox, checking more things out. It's something I've been meaning to do for a while because we got a couple official ones I installed, but I didn't do much others. And I didn't even play through all of them. You know what I mean? Like I didn't play all the way through The Escape. I didn't play a Perfect Dish, the one that came out for Thanksgiving. A number of these small ones.
Got to catch up with that Thanksgiving game.
Hey, it's never a bad time for turkey. Okay, this is a motto I live by.
Turkey burritos.
So I'm catching up on that stuff, but also they made that big change that I mentioned where a lot of the creations, from verified creators, the paid mods are now achievement friendly. So there's no excuse not to dive into them. So I kind of got a little bit suck it up, Buttercup. Now that I finished Dragon Age, back in Starfield heavy, because I went back for Shattered Space and loved it. Doing the other Starfield podcast too. And, I need to bone up. So I installed a bunch of creations, trying a number of paid ones, some non-paid ones, and at the same time, I'm finishing up all those achievements. So besides checking out a lot of that this week, and, I'll have more to say about that, more about some of those mods soon. I finally did the Ryujin quest line, which, if you don't know, the Ryujin quest line is kind of the stealth cyberpunk corporate espionage quest line, right? Ray, how did you feel about that one as far as the faction goes?
That was definitely one of my favorite of the first run, faction stuff.
I remember you saying positive things. That's why I asked. I was thinking that was the case, but I wasn't sure. So yeah, the fact that you got to do some stealth in it was awesome. Now, as far as the actual stealth-based missions, there are only maybe 3 missions that have a lot of stealth. I mean, there are some quick stealth, but it's like Morrowind or Oblivion stealth for those of you who go back that far. Fallout 3 stealth, where you basically wait till they're not looking at you, you squat, and then you do a thing. Like, I don't think that qualifies as stealth. You're like, oh, the eyes are looking that way. Squat, hidden, hack a computer, steal something. So that hardly counts. The kind of stealth I like is your solid Thieves Guild stealth. You're solid, you're in a mission, you're infiltrating a lair with a bunch of people moving around. You've got to avoid them. You've got to avoid their cone of sight, or hack the robots, or talk somebody down. So yeah, there's a lot of that in the Ryujin quest line, and that was a ton of fun.
Yeah, they're the stealth missions in there are pretty deep. I
Mhm.
mean, you're going through multiple levels of a building, and it's a lot more involved to stay hidden on those.
Right. The one where you have to infiltrate your own building without getting deep into the whole quest line, the one where you have to, for reasons, break into your own corporate building and work your way through all those levels, that that was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. And what I found interesting was the way you experience a building when you're trying to sneak through it versus the way you experience it when the lights are on. Like even before, so before doing the quest, I actually tried to case it a little bit. I went a couple different floors and like familiarizing myself, like, like casing the joint, right? Like you do,
Right.
like if you're going to break in. But once the lights were off and you're working mostly through ducts and vents and avoiding cameras and security people, it makes it just feels so different. It feels so different. So yeah, Ryujin Questline, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I got all the things I wanted. I got the cool device at the end. Got a good result from the board and stuff. So having a lot of fun there. And I now have what? I have 4 achievements left to get in Starfield. I need to hit level 100, and I need to do the Crimson Fleet quest line. And then once I do that, I can do anything I want with mods, and not even worry about it. Although, really, I'm just kind of branching at this point where I'll have my character going forward with mods and my character going forward without. Because they'll probably add more achievements with the next expansion, right? And for those of us who care about such things for some silly reason.
Yeah, it must be rough.
I know, right? Like, on Steam, you get your Steam achievements. I'm sure you keep track of those. You're very, very competitive with Steam achievements.
Yeah. Yep. It must be, because I know they do keep track.
They do, and some people actually care about them, but not quite as much as they maybe do with the Xbox or the PlayStation trophies. But good to get those. It's a thing. So yeah, a lot of Starfield, shipbuilding, the Doom expansion, which I had to actually. I'm excited about. I was already excited about playing the Doom one, just because of the atmosphere. It's short, but cool atmosphere, great like armor. Get the Doom guy kind of style armor, which is awesome. But then we get that Xbox Developer Direct this past week, which that was really fun. Got the good look at South of Midnight, got a good look at Doom the Dark Ages, Expedition 33, and it was, as we kind of thought it might be, the surprise game was Ninja Gaiden, but it wasn't the 2D Ninja Gaiden I expected. The Ninja Gaiden Rage Band, it was Ninja Gaiden 4. Surprise project. Looks awesome. Really cool. A couple of us in Discord were actually, we do the watch alongs. Whenever there's a big event on, if you're like, hey, I want someone to talk to you about the stuff I'm watching, we're almost always going to be a few of us in there chatting live, usually Jerry and Eric and I, sometimes Lee. This time we had Sherry in there a lot chatting, a few others. It's fun. It's a good time. But yeah, enjoyed that event, and it really makes me actually want to play Doom. Which I'm not a Doom guy. I'm not like, Doom is not my thing. It's too fast paced and demony and kapow, boom, explode. But this one, being a little bit more medieval, like that seems really cool. And it also is a little bit like slower paced. There's a bit of an action slider. So you can actually, if you're like, maybe your reflexes aren't what they used to be, and you don't want to get in there all twitch shooting, boomer shooter stuff. You can slow down a little bit and actually take your time and think, as opposed to the way Doom's played with all the bum rushing and just it's a little bit action paced. Doom was hard to keep up. So that looked neat. So anyway, yeah, want to play that DLC too. But that's pretty much it for my gameplay. We're working on the PC a little bit and mostly playing Starfield.
Ninja Gaiden, huh? Wow.
Yeah, do you remember those from the NES?
Totally, yeah. Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 were fucking staples. I would have assumed that if it was a continuing series, that they would have been on Ninja Gaiden 19 by now,
Well, the way they actually did it, I mean, there have been a couple, but there were the original 3 on the regular Nintendo. On the Nintendo.
I never played 3, I don't think.
And then it kind of made a comeback in the early Xbox era. We got the
Oh,
Ninja
fun.
Gaiden, Ninja Gaiden Black, and kind of basically a whole second trilogy they did. And then it did come to PlayStation as a Ninja Gaiden Sigma, I think. Which I know the kids are talking Sigma now, but this is different. It's Ninja Gaiden Ligma. No, didn't happen. But so there've been a few, and those were the two big series. Then there've been some spin-offs, but none of them really did well. As far as I know. So I feel like it's been like 15 years at least, maybe 20 since the last real Ninja Gaiden game.
I remember
That'd
it
be
being
fun.
so badass, but if I played it now, I'd be like, ooh. Yeah, those original NES ones.
They are so tough. Like, it's kind of like going back and playing the original Super Metroid and a
Oh,
few of
good
them.
Lord.
Like, I mean, it's not too tough, but there's a difficulty curve. You got to be ready to die some.
If you notice the remakes of all those old ass games, they all have like save features now and continues and stuff, and we never had that shit back in the day.
Right, save states?
They
What's
got
that?
they got placeholders now. Ugh.
Yeah, like, I mean, Legend of Zelda, your little gold cartridge with the battery was pretty much it.
Yep, that was like mind blowing that you could save a game.
But now you can create your own saves. Yeah, oh, Lee mentioning Atari 50. Right, like Atari 50, you can always save. Save states are very cool in emulators and some newer stuff.
It's like, is that an emulator? Because I only know the Atari 2000 or whatever.
Yeah, so no, the Atari 50, that was a big old game, kind of game set that came out 2 years ago.
Oh.
So it was essentially an anniversary for the Atari. What is the 30th anniversary? 40th anniversary? Yeah, 40th anniversary of the Atari. They did a big old 50 game release. And so you play
fun.
through these games, but it's got an accompanying documentary on the disc. So you're learning about it. You get developer interviews. You get, we did this and this, and you hear the history of it. And then you get to jump in and play the game as part of the
That's
interactive
really
features.
Awesome. Holy shit.
Yeah, it was amazing. I highly recommend it. It came out on the Xbox One. If you want to check it out, Andrew, you might enjoy it because it's such a cool mix of documentary and games and really fun.
No offense to the games, but are the documentary sections just available to watch? Like because I love fucking old school, game developing videos and stuff. I watched that Madden series the other, a couple of weeks ago. They're talking about developing Madden and getting all that together. It's so fucking interesting. The art of putting games together.
The documentary is always interactive, but I think it's up to you whether or not you jump in and play the games or not while you go through.
Nice.
So, yeah. No, that was really fun. We checked it out a couple years ago, and it was really good. Lee's in chat. He mentions games up through the Jaguar. The last real Atari system, the Atari Jaguar.
I remember the Jaguar, right? Right. So, 50. What did you say? Atari 50. Okay.
Atari 50. Yeah.
I'll look that up.
Definitely look it up. It's really fun. I mean, it's more about the experience than the games because you can get. There are a lot of emulators or silly things you plug in your TV or versions of the games that are okay.
There's tons
you can
of
get
those now.
Yeah, and they're decent. But getting them all together in this package, all like kind of the best quality they had, those are good.
Yeah, play some Pitfall 2 and some Montezuma's Revenge, man. Be some good old gaming.
We talking last week about platformers, right? We're like, what's the first platformer?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that, right? And I said Donkey Kong, and there was some backup for that.
Yeah.
But there was one other. I looked at it now. I'm forgetting what it was, but there was one before Donkey Kong. Someone said Moonlander.
Moonlander.
Yeah, first platformer. Hold on, I can't believe I forgot. Here I was looking it up, and now I forgot. Oh, Space Panic. Space Panic was officially the first platformer.
That's a cool name. I love that.
Yeah, it looks cool. It's got like this. It's very Donkey Kong-esque though, because it has ladders and platforms and creatures going back and forth. But it's a little bit more like the original Mario Brothers looking than.
What
Donkey
was that
Kong.
on? I recognized that. That was.
It was in the arcade and ColecoVision.
Coleco. My neighbor Mike Swartz across the street had the ColecoVision. I bet they played it at his house.
I bet it was. It came out in 1980 and
Although,
officially the first platformer.
I did spend a good deal of time in the arcade when I was a kid too. We didn't have a good one, but we had one. Gosh darn it!
Stratoblaster says, "What about Burger Time?" Yeah, man, Burger Time.
Burger Time was great.
That's the classic game. I love it. Build your burgers there. You know, you got to drop the beef on the lettuce on the buns.
Does something like Dig Dug count as a platformer since there's not technically platforms?
No, I don't think it did. I don't think. You know, Dig Dug like, right? Is there a genre? What genre of that? A dig game?
How about Joust? That's a platformer, right? But it's not
Joust is a platformer.
It's not a side-scrolling platformer, though.
But it doesn't need to be for it to be a platformer. No, a platformer, while we're used to jumping between platforms in a side-scrolling way, all these first platformers were not. Space Panic, Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, Burger Time, those were all platforms on a single screen.
Was Donkey Kong before Mario Brothers?
The original Mario Brothers, yeah.
It was.
Okay. Yeah, remember, he was Jumpman. So that was his first appearance. He was Jumpman back then.
Right. And she's not Princess Peach. She's like Polly or Pauline or
yeah, it was Pauline. Right? Yeah, God, you have a good memory. So the genre for Dig Dug is a maze game. They call it a maze game, which makes
I guess
sense.
It kind of is, yeah.
Like Pac-Man's kind of a maze game, Dig Dug a maze game.
Yeah, right.
Wizard of War, that sort of thing.
Monkey Shines for all of you Magnavox. What was that game system called? What was that game system? Magnavox Odyssey 2000. There you go. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah,
I have never heard of that one.
The Odyssey 2000 from Magnavox? Come on.
No, Monkey Shines.
Oh, Monkey Shines.
I've heard of the Odyssey.
It's similar to those you were just saying.
Very, very cool. Yeah, a little bit of video game history there. Sorry. I don't know how we even got on that topic.
I don't, because I'm asking stupid questions about platform games.
No, those are awesome questions. But all I really played this week was Starfield. Yeah, I thought I might play other things, but I'm, just having a lot of fun. I got that grind to level 100, get the Crimson Fleet done, get some gameplay. And that's really what it was. I was watching, after Dragon Age, I was watching the Star Trek. And of course, you watch Star Trek, you want to play Starfield. You play Starfield, you want to watch Star Trek. It's self-fulfilling.
What's the Starfield DLC called again?
Shattered Space.
I haven't played it yet. Shattered Space. How long did it take you, and how long would it take a normal person to play it?
So I put about 26 hours in. I think Ray put about 16, you said, Ray, right? 15, 16?
Yeah.
And we talked about it. If you beeline the main quest, I was saying 8. Ray said no, you probably even do it in 5 or 6. But I think the regular person would put 10 to 15.
And is this a new character type thing, or take my old boy in there?
Old character. You can do with new character if you want, but it's recommended level 35 to start the missions basically. So
I would have to remember the whole damn game. It's been so long since I played.
No, totally, and that's the thing for a lot of people. A lot of people jumping on Shattered Space, they actually had to play a few weeks before they got to that.
I would definitely need a refresher course.
It's the same but different. You know how that is.
It's the same, but now space is involved. So now you have like 360 degrees space dimensions to worry
they're coming
about.
With some fun habs for shipbuilding. That's been fun to explore. Doing the Trackers missions. Like I had done the first Trackers Alliance mission, but I'm going in and just, doing some stuff on the bounty board. The Trackers stuff is cool. I don't have a useful brig like Ray, but
Let's see, brig. Is that jail?
Yeah. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I learned ship lingo stuff. What's the not the mess hall, that's on land. What's the place you eat on the boat?
Mess hall works.
It is mess.
Sure.
It is the mess.
Oh, the kitchen is the galley. Might be what you're thinking.
Galley, there you go. Oh, that's not where you eat, that's where the food is prepared? Is the galley?
It's usually what they call the kitchen. Okay. That's why when you're in a house, when you're in a house that has a kitchen with like counters on either side, like you've got your stove and your fridge and your counters. It's called a galley kitchen.
Right.
Yeah, because it's more of a straight line.
Because it's like a boat. I never thought of that.
So as opposed to a fancy kitchen with like an island and all that stuff and tables in the middle.
2 stranded people throwing message into bottles in the ocean.
I laugh because it's not that fancy, but
I always thought they were super fancy with people that like the hanging pots and stuff in the island.
Oh,
like,
yeah, that. Hey, we have that in Fallout 76, okay? We've got hanging pots in Fallout, so how fancy can it be?
Amazingly fancy. That's how fancy.
Man, My camp is swank. I mean, I shouldn't say I didn't play any Fallout at all. I did jump on Hard Knock a little bit, but nothing to speak home about. A couple more. Yeah, that sounds funny, doesn't it? Anyway,
I jumped on Hard Knock. Yes,
my
ma'am.
boy Hard Knock Holmes. We logged in a bit. We did a few challenges. I'm probably like rank 88 or 89 now, but I'm still not in the 90s. So obviously I didn't play that much.
Ooh, all right. Anything else this didn't get to this week?
I think that about covers it because I know I got feedback. And I also know Ray had a lot of gameplay, making up for all that time on the road.
Yeah. Did you
Yes,
make up for
indeed.
lost time there, bud?
I did for sure. Although I also did not play any Fallout London this week.
You're too busy
See?
playing what?
Well, doing the No Man's Sky missions. They're rolling from one expedition to the other.
Did you it switched to a new one to play?
Yeah.
Is this another old
And-
one that they made available? Okay.
Yeah, it's another redo. And sadly, I was doing that instead of publishing the episodes of BBC ISS
Of the
that I have
podcast that
in
you
the
were.
can. Yeah,
Oops.
yeah, I got to get on that.
Is there an added benefit to doing the same events again? Do you get a different version of the rewards or anything?
So the redos are a little bit less, involved. They have kind of milestone light. And
For people who missed it the first time, or what are
well,
these
it's
for?
good for people who missed it. Like, so Jen had missed the one that we're currently doing. But the other thing is that I take my character, my existing character through, and you're able to bring back rewards into your normal save. So it's handy for that.
Nice.
So,
Go treasure hunting.
yeah. So, played a lot of Skyrim. Working on a witch
Fun.
character that I had been playing.
How does that manifest?
It's a conjuration mage, essentially.
Mhm.
So I don't do any of the fighting myself. It's all
that's cool.
yeah, through minions.
Do any like potions and stuff too, or no?
No, not much in the way of alchemy. Definitely no smithing.
Yeah.
Um,
Conjuring is very fun.
Yeah.
Ooh, ritual stone?
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Continued on with Stalker 2. So definitely had to get in. I kind of dragged my feet on that a little bit because I just, I needed to make sure I had a day where I was going to have a big block of time. So I finally got that and got some Stalker 2 in.
Is that because it's more difficult, or you like the
well, one, it's more difficult, but also it helps with it's kind of the most unique key binding, and so I once I get going on that particular control set, it's easier just to stay in it for a whole day.
yeah.
Where the other day, with the other ones, I can bounce back and forth between them and not have too much trouble.
I'm at the point where I just can't play other control styles anymore. Bethesda has ruined me.
No. But the game that I probably put the most hours into this week was Starfield.
All right, what are you doing?
Hell yeah.
So I've been grinding away on my level 200 character. So I got him up to level 203. And at this point, so I'm not doing any more of the crafting. I'm only leveling skills. I've got a nice ship built, and so I'm going through all the ship skills, which is so I'm going in, and so laser weapons and ballistic weapons, I maxed those skills out while I was in the simulator. So I the first build of the ship, it was all particle beam weapons. And so I leveled up the particle beam skill
Mhm.
until I got that one maxed out. Then I put on missiles and leveled up the missile skill until I got that one maxed out. And now I'm on the EM weapons, and that one is kind of weird. So all the other ones, you do a certain amount of damage, it increases, higher and higher damage.
To hit the challenge requirements in order to level up more. Yeah.
With the EM weapons, it's boarding ships. So you disable the ship so that you can dock with them. Once you dock with them, then that counts as your skill progression.
Wow. Okay.
Then there's also, is it in the social skills? It's the one that lets you increase the amount of crew that you can have on your ship.
Yep. Yeah. If you
Com-
go down to the bottom, the leadership one there.
Yeah, it's like command something or other.
Hmm.
So that one you have to dock with ships with 2 or more crew on board. So I've got 2 crew members, and so now every time that I dock with a ship to raise my EM weapon skill, I'm also raising the command skill. So there's a lot of skills like that. I've probably got 8 or more skills in every tree maxed out except for social.
That is so cool. Like, we talk about how difficult that would be, and obviously with this character that leveled fast, you have more room to do it, but still, like that is such a thing. Leveling is so slow. I'm talking about the Ryujin quest line. Ray, I got 1 level during an entire faction quest line. And that's only because I decided to actually fight people. When you go to Karane and you're actually the ones who took over the mine, the Ecliptic there. If I didn't fight those Ecliptic, I would have done an entire quest line and not even gained a level.
Yeah.
It's so slow as you get up there.
Yeah. Well, and plus it's so unbalanced. The XP rewards for completing quests is so small. You can do a lot better just by flying around Serpentis once.
That's my biggest complaint. The fact that I can kill 1 high level pirate, maybe 2 high level pirates and get as much XP as an entire quest.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous. Like a Spacer Savage, boom, 110 XP. That's what I get from a quest.
Yeah. So it's been interesting. There's a lot of really weird skill progression, items. There's also some skills that if you level them up, it makes it harder to level other skills. Because I've got pain tolerance and rejuvenation, and so it's really hard to hurt myself. And so it's been hard to advance. I can't remember what the name of the skill is, but there's one where you have to become injured, and so that's been kind of tricky to get that one. And then also martial arts, I think I can't, because I have there's a skill that I've got that causes my unarmed attacks to stun players, NPCs. And so you don't, it's hard to do damage to them, except to just outright kill them. So it's been interesting kind of balancing all the different skills. Eventually with this character, I would like to be able to max out every single skill, but it's going to be tricky because there's some of them that are just too hard to manage because they're just, the skill requirement is so high compared to what you can actually physically do, damage in the game, with the unarmed. So, but I did, so there's a skill where you have to, do stealth kills,
Right.
with a melee weapon, or unarmed. And so I would go into a space where there's a bunch of, enemies. I would go around and I would punch them until they were all knocked out and incapacitated, laying on the ground. Then I would arm my melee weapon, crouch down, sneak up behind them, and kill them
While they're incapacitated on
While
the
they're
ground,
incapacitated.
defenseless. Great. Good job, Ray.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, kill two birds. Literally, you're knocking them out and getting credit for that, and then you're taking them out and getting credit for that.
Yeah. So it's been pretty wild.
That's quite a journey.
That's
So,
pretty
what level are you
hilarious.
up to now? I might have missed when you said that.
Level 203.
Okay, so you're still not too high above 200. You're
Yeah.
just filling out all the skills and doing the challenges because you got all those levels, but you still do the challenges to get the skills themselves.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you get to? I forget how it works. Do you get to like choose a new skill every level or something? How does that work? I
Yeah,
forget.
every level you get a skill point, and you can put those into either advancing skills that you've done the challenges for, or opening up a new skill.
So,
Yeah.
how many do you need to max out every one? I remember in Fallout 4, it was like before the DLCs, it was like 276 levels, and you'd have all the perks or whatever.
Isn't it 3 something?
Yeah, it's like 323, 324.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot of levels, especially with how slow you level, as you go up. I mean, like
Yeah.
it is a slow leveling game for sure.
And how does this work with the, going through the, what's the infinity loop thing?
The
called?
Unity?
The Unity. How does it work with that?
So you get to keep all of your, all of your levels, and all your skill points.
But it takes away
And-
all of your weapons and shit, right?
Right.
Yeah. But, you get to keep all your skills and all your powers. So, this character I probably will take through the Unity. If for no other reason, just to make it harder, because every level you go through the Unity, it essentially takes you up into a higher skill level because you do, the enemies get,
A little harder, right? They
Yeah,
they
get
do like
harder.
5% more damage each time.
Yeah.
So you're getting that 5% more damage each time, and you get some changes there. Yeah, I think do you do less damage each time too, or is it just 5% for them? It's not. Is it 5 up, 5
Good
down?
Lord.
I don't
Why
know
would
if it
anybody ever
actually-
do that ever?
Well, it's to kind of keep the balance as you level up, you know what I mean, to maintain the challenge. And when that was initially, when the game released, of course, there weren't the individual sliders we have now. So now we can customize our game. We can affect all those things like a mod with enemy damage, R damage, ship damage, all that. But originally there wasn't that. So it was just kind of built in that as you leveled up, because there was also a top level for them. And that's another reason why they kind of needed it. Because the way the game originally was, you're not going to ever find a region over, level 100, right? Level 90, level 100. And you're not going to find equipment more powerful than like when you hit level 70, you're unlocking all the advanced and the highest stuff, right? Or
Yeah.
wherever it is that you hit advanced. So there are mods now for that, like a lot of mods that change that. I, for instance, set up one where there's, it's kind of, I believe it's called high level armors. And so like every 70 levels or so, you get like revision 70, revision 140, revision 200, revision 300 as you level up to this max level. So you get tougher stuff, but then it will also, there's a companion one that scales enemy difficulty with each level too. So, more scaling, but the game itself wasn't set for that. So it makes sense. Right,
Yeah.
Ray?
Yeah. And, so with this one, I'm never really going to have a problem. Yeah. So I'll lose all my stuff and I'll lose all my, my ships.
Mm-hmm.
But, being as high level as I am, I'll be able to go right out and, collect, high level gear again,
Right.
pretty quickly. Cause I do that, I was doing that with low level characters.
Right.
Going to higher
You didn't
level
have any stealth.
systems. Yeah. And, collecting advanced weapons, to bring back with me. So
As a system, I mean, the Unity does, we won't dive into it, but it does have some flaws with the original system. Like you get what they were going for with the new armor each time, new ship each time, enemies get tougher each time, you keep leveling up. But I'm glad that there are mods to change it up, where you can get access to cumulative to, all the spacesuits after you go through the Unity, and you keep the old ones, or the ships, like change all that stuff. I think it's better to customize it. I think that's pretty cool.
I think they're just trying to be Buddhist about it and trying to train us to not be attached to material objects.
It's very Zen, right? You're like, yeah, you must go forth. You keep only yourself, but nothing
Life's going to get
material.
harder, and we're taking your shit. Get on with it.
yeah. But the thing is that, one of the things that I've kind of learned through this process is that, your power comes from your skills.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when I go through the Unity and I lose all my stuff, I'm not going to give a rat's because I will be able to just turn around and, make all new stuff and make it at max level. Because I've done all the weapons research. I've done all the.
You've got all the crafting
spacesuit
materials. You've got all that shit. Do they take
But
away
you
your
can
materials?
just go buy that. No,
Oh, so
you
you
lose
can
all your
just-
materials,
do
but you can
you-
just go buy it.
Do you still get? Do you retain your credits? What's the monetary unit? They're
You
not.
don't retain
credits.
anything.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing, Andrew. Yeah,
So
you
gotta go
show
make
up, you
the
get
money
your
again. You gotta
cool
go
Starborn outfit and a spaceship, and that is it.
I'm surprised
and
they
everything
give you
in
an
your
outfit.
head.
I'm surprised they don't send you in, like a
Naked into the world.
the baby the day he's born.
Yeah.
I mean, but when it comes to crafting weapons, like you don't craft from scratch, Andrew. So, like we have to find
I
weapons
forgot
and we
about
just
that.
modify
you
them as
find
we
them
like.
and then you alter
buy them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Why not? Why
but
can't
again,
you build a weapon? Why do you think they didn't go with that system? Like crafting from
Logic.
scratch. So
Logically, I would say because Starfield tries to be more realistic in a lot of levels, a person with a certain level of skills can cobble together weapons in Fallout, right? Especially like the pipe pistols and stuff we can do early on.
Yeah.
But you're not exactly cobbling together laser pistols and stuff like that till you have some real skills to do so. Maybe. Does that make sense? You kind of need a base weapon to modify instead.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not going to sweat it either way because I know how to get all the best stuff
Mm-hmm.
right away. So I'll be able to go get that stuff and then take it to my bench and max it out. And so within just an hour or two, I'll be right back where I was.
Oh,
Right.
really?
With
Wow.
it being level based, because you're keeping your level, before Ray would go to the high level systems as a low level character and
Yeah.
scrap for it. Now you go to the high level systems as a high level character and boom, you get everything you want.
Yeah.
But that's the great thing about mods that do increase the difficulty, that make the world level with you even more and really boost things up and keep it dynamic.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of potential there, but
Yeah, and making money. So the one big cheat I have for making money is that I've got the mod that makes it a reasonable price to register a ship. So it doesn't cost 80% of the retail price to register the ship.
Right. Like seriously. Like what state does that?
Yeah.
Well, okay, wait a second. Is this a year-by-year registration or is this a lifetime registration?
It's a lifetime, but
Well,
you buy
then
it.
that is pretty valuable.
Well, except that, if you're going to sell the ship now, you're only going to get 20% of the value.
You
Yeah,
got
I'm not keeping one ship for 3 years, Andrew. I'm sorry.
the licensure should be sold with the asset, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
put it
but
in the
you're
glove box.
but you're probably not going to be buying the ships. You're going to be commandeering them.
That's what I mean. Finders keepers. You
So do you have to
commandeer it. You
fence
get the glove
those
box.
then?
There it is.
You have to fence stuff in this game. Is that a thing too? There it is, right? Because
Yeah.
there's
The trade
the
authority is
pirates.
your fence.
The pirates, if you have stolen stuff, not the pirates. Sorry, the police will like confiscate shit. I remember that now.
Oh yeah,
I need to play this game again.
you do.
It's pretty great.
It's a lot of fun.
And it's gotten better. It's gotten better over time. Like I said a year ago it was great, but it's gotten even greater.
Yeah, and I
for
only
sure.
played Melee my first time through, so I haven't even really,
Well,
And
tested
they've
out all the
improved that.
They
guns.
fixed that hugely.
Well, and I haven't even played with guns at all yet, so it sounds like I need to play with guns and then go back and do Melee again after that.
Yep.
I'm like
Well, I
Ray now.
downloaded it.
I'm already planning multiple characters. I'm turning into Ray.
You got to get that Fallout in there though. Now there's a verified mod for you can get Nuka-Cola in the game, Andrew, if you want Nuka-Colas.
And
And
no, do not
I got a
break.
10
Do not break that. Come on.
I'm sorry. I need a Nuka-Cola, and you can get a 10 millimeter pistol from Fallout 3. They're your classic Fallout 10 millimeter. So I got a mod for that too. 'Cause I like pistols.
I love the design of that gun. And I remember a few weeks ago making fun of how, like, when you're in third person, how large the weapon is in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
But then watching the show recently, and I see the size of that fucking 10 millimeter pistol in Lucy's hand, I'm like, that is a pretty goddamn big pistol. Maybe they weren't making it. Maybe they're making a joke in the show, or maybe the game is. Maybe
They're
it's
keeping it true.
supposed to be that big. I'd like. Maybe that's not a mistake of a.
The worst is
scale.
that assault rifle, though. Like, I mean, people hate that Fallout 4 assault rifle, and the fact they brought it into the show is just, hilarious.
I'm still. I want to watch the show again immediately.
Yeah, but anyway, sorry, Ray. Back to your gameplay. So you got
All right.
No Man's Sky and the Starfield and all that good stuff. Anything else?
Yeah. So that kind of rounded it out.
You said you played some Stalker and stuff.
Yeah, but I like my so one of my favorite shipbuilders is the ship technician, and he recently made a Normandy, and so the character that I played previously before this one, I had the Rocinante, which was a lot of fun.
Remind me,
but
Normandy was what, Mass Effect or something?
Mass
right?
Effect, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And this ship is absolutely huge. It's the max length, so it's at 40 meters, and it's like 38 meters wide.
In order to fit the whole shape in, you kind of have to, because it does have those wings and it does have that shape.
Yeah.
I can see it being large.
And then the interesting thing is that the cockpit is underneath. So the cockpit is at the back half of the plane, underneath, right there, where the landing gear and the wings and all that stuff connect. So it's kind of trippy to, when you see it flying, you never see the cockpit. So, but it's a definitely a strong play. The thing I like about him is that so he's done a lot of research into what the best weapon loadouts are and how to get the maximum out of your reactors and all that kind of stuff as far as
Mhm.
balance. If you've got this reactor, this is the most mass that you can have and still get the best performance out of the ship. And so this thing just absolutely cooks. And so
Which builder did this one, Ray?
the ship technician.
Oh, ship technician. Okay, yeah, we've seen some of his stuff.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I built his Rocinante too. So, but that one was cool. But it has missile loadouts to stay true to the to the Rocinante. And I just don't like missiles.
No. Plus, I mean, let's be honest. The Rosie, yeah, cool, but kind of a boring ship.
Yeah.
kind of just oblong, cylindrical, not that
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
How about
Yeah, for sure.
the Planet Express delivery ship? Do you see that one?
Yes. We have made I have a friend who did the Planet Express
Nice.
back last year.
There are so many cool pop culture spaceships out there.
It's really fun. By the way, here's my quick defense for everyone why Fallout mods in Starfield are lore friendly. What? What are you talking about? Yeah, if you put a Fallout mod in Starfield with the lore friendly tag, it's okay, you can. Nuka-Cola in Starfield is lore friendly. Here's why. The lore of Starfield is our world in the future. Okay, some slight changes, sure, but you're essentially taking Earth and extrapolating what happens in the future after some changes. In that world of Earth, guess what? One of the most popular video game franchises are that people are podcasting about even Fallout. The Fallout series existed in Starfield. So Fallout products and Fallout posters and things like Nuka-Cola are because of the fans, because of companies that actually made them. And so this existed in the meta within the world of Earth. And so some of it still came forward. See? Lore friendly.
Works for me.
Yeah, I'm not saying. Look, I'm not saying
I don't know about that.
that the Nuka-Cola company existed, but I'm saying, some companies thought Nuka-Cola
You're
was
saying
cool
the video
and
game
made it for
Fallout
fans.
existed. Okay, so Starfield is not a branch of our existence. It is the United States of America in today's. Just like Fallout was the United
Yep.
States, but it was a different branch of our history or something.
Alternate history of splitting, right? Like, I mean, the big split, of course,
but
being
Starfield is
after
not
the war.
a split alternate history. It is
It's alternate future.
There you go. Okay.
Maybe. I mean, we haven't got
we don't
future
know.
yet.
We
It might
haven't
not even
got
be
there
alternate.
yet. How would
right.
we know this? We could be writing the goddamn future right now, you guys.
This is what I'm talking about. But yeah, no, that's why I think properties that reference any kind of fan properties in our world could essentially be lore friendly.
So they should have not made up anything and just used all real products then. Just gone out and got all the licensing and all the pictures.
They did
and
for some
music
things. I
and-
mean, chunks were made after we abandoned Earth.
Get your chunks.
Choose your chunks.
I want that hat. That'd be really fun.
The chunks hat.
Merchandise hat. Yeah.
Pretty
I'm
sweet.
sure. I bet you they have it in the store. I've never looked, but
Oh,
that
yeah,
probably
no
exists,
doubt.
right? What about the cool constellation jacket they wear with the high neck thing? I like their style. Constellation? Is that what they're called?
That's
Yeah.
our crew. Yep.
Yeah. And not Sarah Morgan. What's her name?
I mean, yeah, Sarah
Is that
Morgan
her
is,
name? Yeah.
the head of Constellation
her
currently.
jacket. I like her jacket.
Yeah, she's got a cool red jacket.
All right. Did you have some more gameplay there?
I can't imagine.
You can't imagine.
We want to hear what you've been up to, and then we want to get some feedback, Andrew.
I've been up to almost nothing. I was just playing the dailies a lot. Just I'm trying to get up to 81 to get that kitty.
You're not
Other
at
than
80
that,
yet?
no, I didn't start hitting it hard until more recently. But
Right.
I'm 76 or something. So by early next week, probably I will. And I already did my weeklies for this week, so I probably won't reach it this week. But no,
Right. And I was here telling you had time, so don't listen to me. You're fine. You got time.
and I don't know if I'm just gonna hit the cat and stop or keep going, and because I was in score-tirement, but somehow, some way, somehow, you pulled
It's
me
called a
back.
roundtable. We
You
did it to a bunch of
pulled me
people.
back
Ha.
in. Yeah, but so no, I didn't. I played a little bit of Castles. My King Baby's up to 17th year of reign now, so starting to get some better rewards for that. Getting better at the fighting stuff. I always just kind of fudged around, not really sure what was happening when you're out and about on adventures in castles. But I was getting a little bit better at the fight strategy, and I don't know. I just to concentrate a lot more on the map, out there adventuring.
Mm-hmm.
I'm up to level like 90 or so now, because I found, once I got a lot of my production, the furnace and stuff like that, the loom, the kitchen, well, you get to them to a certain point, but eventually when they upgrade them, they say, oh, you can upgrade this from level 8 to level 9, and therefore you'll produce more food. But in order to do that, you need to have already completed level 45 on the quests or whatever. And they're like, oh, fuck, I'm on level like 13. Like, I'll never get up to level 40. So I just concentrated on beating a lot of those, the quests solely just so I could upgrade all of my my production facilities on the inside. I definitely concentrate way more on the interior of the castle than out running around. And
That makes sense. I mean, that's what the game is about mostly, right? The interior.
well, there's lots
Your
of weapon
citizens.
crafting and like perfecting the weapons and that sort of thing too. So I mean, they do make you spend at least a little bit of time on the equipment part of it, But anyway, so I've been having fun with castles, and a little bit of 76, just doing the scoreboard. Did that thing, Jess, last week where you pump the score booster thing on
Yeah, on Monday night.
do all the weeklies, and then do them again on Tuesday before it runs out on it. So I got a bunch of score that way. That's when I jumped from like 40 something to 70 something in like less than a week. It was because I was doing
It
this
makes
stuff.
a real difference
And
when
it
you do
was-
getting it with those weeklies and
Yeah,
dailies.
and it was when
And
they had
don't
the-
forget to claim them along the way as you unlock them on the scoreboard,
Right.
people. So I actually heard from a Fallout player who she's finished the scoreboard. She didn't realize that you had to claim those 10% boosters along the way.
Oh no!
She thought they were temporary ones. So she made it to 100 without ever claiming
no
any of those.
boost.
That whole 25% boost she could have had, but no.
What a bummer.
And I know all of our listeners know for the most part, but if this is your first season in Fallout 76, claim those as you go.
And I don't know
Always.
if I was napping last week during Iguana Bits or if they snuck it in
I
on
was
us.
slacking.
But there's treasure hunters out today that I noticed. I was like, hey, what are those guys doing running around? So
Yeah, they're every month or two now. So I mean, I might have mentioned the Grumbles are coming back,
they're
but
not
they are.
not a special event anymore by any means.
Not like they used to be. I mean, they're still more exciting than Caps Aplenty and Merkel Burgle's special pick,
And like
but
double mutations a weekend on daily ops. Like who the
my
fuck
favorite
is that for?
event.
Who's
Ooh.
that for? Yay, make the thing that sucks harder. All right.
Double mutations can be fun. I like the mutated party packs, to be honest. They're kind of fun to open.
Those are
I like
good.
opening
Those-
things.
You
Yeah.
do get some good shit out of there. That is true.
Yep.
All right, but that's my gameplay. Not a ton of gameplay this week, but we
Well,
do have
we-
tons of feedback. So
Yeah, we'll get to the iguana bits, but it is double score this weekend. So just make sure
Is
no
it?
one
Nice.
misses it. Sorry, next weekend, starting on the 30th, we're getting double score.
Okay, cool. I'll definitely get it. Yeah, by this time then I'll definitely be there. Maybe I can use that to coast into the end of the scoreboard, but no, because it goes up to like level 150 or now, whatever. Gosh.
Yeah, but I mean, once you can buy everything on the first bonus page, you're done.
I go into Scoretirement, and you guys somehow let them raise the final level from 100 to 150 when I, I just shouldn't have gone into Scoretirement because you guys are not.
So it's your fault?
You're not showing.
Or are you trying to blame us for not holding the
You're
line?
not holding the line at all. I expected more of you guys.
We keep playing and grinding, and
All right. So I think we need to roll into some feedback. Let's see. Let's see. Steve wrote here. We got some Lee. We got some Sean. We got some Solior. What were we about to say there, Jess?
speaking of listeners, a funny thing. So at the beginning of Ray's feedback there, I was quiet for a minute because I was wheeling and dealing. I just Jerry had put up. Jerry's selling some of his Fallout collection.
No
And
way.
he's putting up some stuff for sale. He's got a pretty awesome collection.
Oh, good
And,
deal.
you know,
Good deal.
Making room. He had put up his 76 collector's edition box set with like the cool coasters and the posters and like the big
Yeah, I
hardcover
remember
book and
That's awesome.
yeah, all that. And I'm like, Jerry, I want it. And so he just lowered the price. I'm like, he just lowered the price. I messaged him. I'm like, sorry, Ray, I'm listening to you talk about your skills, but I am wheeling a deal, letting Jerry know I'm buying it. And I PayPal'd him the money. So I'm going to get his collector's edition.
Oh, that's awesome.
Speaking of listeners. But let's get into their feedback.
Well, good job, Jerry. Thanks for that. All right. We'll check in here with Sean. See what Sean's been up to. Been a couple of weeks since we heard from him, so let's see what's going on.
We make feedback.
Hi everyone, Sean aka Stratoblaster here. I've missed the last few feedback episodes due to some trouble with completing the quest supplying demands. It seems that the quest is stuck after returning to Foundation from the mines with Billy. Gloria is stuck in her original dialogue about heading to the lookout and finding the weapons cache. Bethesda support was unable to assist, and unfortunately I will be unable to continue the BOS saga with all of you. Isaiah, however, continues his story, and will jump back in with everybody when we pick up the Skyline Valley portion of the Roundtable. Until then, we pick up with Isaiah where we left off, and how he is coping with what is happening to him within the game. Part 3. What is it that ultimately drives us, moving us forward when all around us seems as though it's falling away? It is a goal, sometimes minute and insignificant in the fabric of our lives, but a beacon nonetheless for us to grasp onto when all seems lost. And so it is for me, a distant goal that seems so far out of reach now. I have been sidetracked, pushed this way and that, treated as though I was merely a pawn in someone else's chess match. I do not care for this feeling. My training and my education are being squandered as I am unceremoniously pushed and pulled to destinations that have no real bearing on what I truly want, need to do. After returning from Alaska, barely a shell of my former self, it was Vault Tech that had restored me. They had given me new purpose. And now I seek to return to the source of my well-being, my home, if you will, to the company and culture that had given me back my life, made me stronger, and enhanced me in ways that some would say moved me ahead of all the others on the evolutionary journey human beings almost ended 25 years ago. I stand above most. There are few that are my equal, especially intellectually. I embrace my advantages. I care not for my weaknesses, as they are just that and can be overcome with logic and knowledge. Others will disagree, perhaps consider me to be off-putting or even unlikable. It's not important. Only the goal is important. Only the mission is what will drive me from now on. Isaiah Pollux. Day 71. After meeting with several different groups, including the Putnams, the Survivors, the Retreat, and finally the Raiders at Crater, it became apparent to me that my dealings with the Brotherhood of Steel were drawing me further away from my goal, the goal of finding and contacting any remaining traces of Vault-Tec and restoring my past life in whatever semblance that may be given this new reality. After summarily exterminating Dagger's crew, I wondered how long I would be sidetracked by this never-ending string of quests leading me in the wrong direction. I pressed on, though, honoring a commitment I made to Night Shin. Perhaps it's my training, or maybe it was the fact that we held similar views about what the people of Appalachia really needed as opposed to the Paladin's weak viewpoint. I would not coddle the Wastelanders. as they would not benefit from it. I departed the observatory to retrieve another weapons cache, this time from a place called Foundation. Let's see what these outsiders are about. When I arrived at Foundation, it was apparent that they were better prepared for what was happening in Appalachia than most. The compound was well fortified and most of the residents seemed properly outfitted. The name I was given as a contact was Gloria Chance, so she would be my first point to reach out to. They had no long-distance communication capabilities that were apparent, so staying for any extended period of time was out of the question. I found Gloria and her husband, Tad, and immediately asked about the weapons. After a tedious conversation, I finally had to lean into it and push the conversation forward. The cache had been transported to East Mountain Lookout for testing. This was not going to end well, I thought to myself. When I arrived, I found the situation to be exactly as I had imagined. A small crater, several dead bodies. This is why Shin wants the stuff back, I guess. Looking around, I noticed a backpack and a terminal. Apparently someone named Billy blew everyone else up, and now he was hiding out in a mine nearby. And he had the cache. I'm going to go down there, but I hate mines. Mines, caves, being underground in general. But this kid sounded like he needed some help. I promised myself this would be the last time, so down I went. Cold and wet and full of more of these mole miners. And of course, this idiot kid Billy had locked himself into a storage cage. So I went off, found an alternative route, noticed a breached wall in the back of the storage area, so that's where I was going to go. At this point, I was done. I was going to rescue this kid, snatch the cache, and be done with the whole thing. Shin and Romani be damned. After eliminating another score or so of these mole miners and taking a refreshing dip in the water to find the back entrance, I met up with Billy, grabbed the weapons, and got out of that godforsaken hole. I brought Billy back to Foundation, and frankly, that's it for me. I am done with the BOS. Ever since leaving the vault, I have been pulled in 100 different directions, none of which have brought me any closer to my main objective, so the Brotherhood will have to go on without me. As will Billy, Pierce, the Putnams. I am going to focus for the time being on a safe and permanent base of operations from which I can investigate and hopefully discover a way to connect with Vault Tech. I found a fine old shotgun shack in the Cranberry Bog near an exposed gold node. It seems pretty sturdy and will lend itself well to some defensive upgrades, and the gold, for whatever that might be worth these days, may come in handy. In case anybody was wondering, I did keep the BOS weapons cache. I scrapped everything inside it. Most of it was pretty useless to me, but the crate was pretty useful for storing things, so I'm going to keep it around. Once I have secured the house, I'm going to go out into the wasteland and discover what happened to Vault Tech, and with any luck, get into contact. There are several comms arrays in the area, so that's where I'm going to start. Now, I keep hearing the Brotherhood's vertibirds flying around down here. I hope they're not looking for me. They better not bother me. I don't need that kind of drama. I'll be back.
I just had them buzz over my head, too, down there by whatever marsh thing in the Cranberry Bog. Why are they buzzing around so much down there?
I mean, they shouldn't so much. What we see a lot more in 76 are, just the codes, the vertibots, not the vertibirds.
Yeah, I guess you're right. The vertibots.
But I mean, the BOS do show up some. They do show up some, but they're just on patrol.
They were definitely the vertibots. I'd forgotten they were something different there.
Yeah. What I really like the way he worked in that feedback, because as he mentioned at the beginning, and as we talked about a couple weeks ago, he ran into a bug where he could not progress the quest any further. I believe it was on supplying demands. And that's the one where we got the weapons cache for Foundation. We're kind of negotiating that, and we end up, making a deal with them. So that was two big feedback sessions ago.
So that must have been an instanced situation behind a thing, and it was just bugged on something they could get to reset.
Yeah, you go back in there, and they acknowledge you and that you have the weapons, and they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that for him. And as he said, he worked with Bethesda support and so they tried to get it fixed. They could not. So that quest line is broken, which, I mean, lame. Kind of like a few friends of ours, and Eric will talk about it when we get to Silior's feedback too. But he had a similar situation with the Wastelanders quest line, which has actually, believe it or not, something that they did just fix finally, but a few weeks too late. But I like the way that he gave us Still Isaiah's story. despite that. You know what I mean? Like still role playing the character, getting in that mindset. The reason why he would stop working with the BOS at that point makes perfect sense. And getting to, setting up a base of operations. That's very cool.
Absolutely. So, with game-breaking bugs, before they could just update things with the internet so easily, how did they fix broken? Did they seriously just have to test games to death before releasing them back then?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just,
there were no updates, right?
If we're talking about old games, I mean, first of all, there were less moving parts in a lot of older games, but also there are just permanent bugs on things. There are games that have permanent issues that we just work around. So
yeah. All right. Hey, good to hear from you, Sean. Thanks so much for coming back to us.
Looking forward to Isaiah's continuing feedback during this little interlude while we're BOSing. I don't blame you. Andrew would quit the BOS if he could too, just so y'all know. He wasn't obligated.
And I, too, would scrap all their shit and just keep the box because, it's good for storing stuff.
Yeah, handy, box to put things in. That's very important.
Handy dandy storage box. Let's see what Solior's gotten into this week.
What's up, everyone? This is Pyro Anderson, and I think the other guy's gonna have a lot to say today.
You're damn right I do.
Just don't make everybody fall asleep.
Oh, you mean like you did with me a couple of tapes ago?
Shut up. So, from the moment I left the vault, I've been hearing about this gold that's hidden somewhere in Appalachia. Growing up in the vault, we're taught about how important gold is. It's how you make your way in the world. You can't do anything without money, and gold equals money. But it didn't really sound like anything other than a story some guy drunk off his ass on moonshine told everybody. Speaking of which, I got drunk off my ass off of Nukashine. God, one sip of that thing and you'll be on a completely different part of the map, wondering what the hell just happened. Damn that Biv. How are those college kids still alive? But getting back to it, I met up with the overseer at the Vault-Tec University, and we found evidence that this gold actually exists. And it was all in Vault 79 up there by where Freddy Fears is. So I had some run-ins with the Settlers and Foundation and the Raiders and Crater. And by the way, I have a really nice suit made by the Chinese that makes me invisible. That's a lot of fun. And I had every intention of breaking into the vault with the Raiders, but let's just say they weren't pulling their weight. So, anyway, to make a long story short, we blew our way into that vault, and now I am a pretty rich man. So what am I going to do with all this gold? Well, let's just say I've got a few ideas.
Give it to the Raiders!
Getting back to the Brotherhood, I wanted to see how they were holding up after the attacks. So, Russell Dorsey was there to meet me as I walked up to Fort Atlas. You heard what I said, Andrew. He told me to check in with Romani and Shin, as they may have an idea of where the super mutants are coming from. Foundation seems to think that the attacks are coming from uncanny caverns, and Shin wants me to go grab Norwin and Houston so he can go check this out, see if it's actually true. Norwin seems like the poster boy for the army. Walk in on him doing push-ups in his spare time. And he's all, yes sir, right away sir. Moron. Houston, though, she looked like she was about ready to crap herself. I have no idea what she was doing there. But she was also having a talk with a little boy named Max, and apparently his sister Marcia was missing. Poor kid. So we make our way to Uncanny Caverns, and it was pretty clear that super mutants had been there. There were, bloody, mangled bodies everywhere and bags of meat. That smell was awful. I don't think I'm ever going to get over that. But we needed definitive proof as to whether or not the super mutants were still there or not. So, looking around, I found an area that was hidden by some rocks that had caved in. Getting to that point wasn't easy, though. There were some floaters and some other enemies that were running around. But looking around to see if there was a way to get back there into that hidden area, I found some dynamite. Perfect. However, the explosion got the attention of some super mutants. Was it just me, or were these super mutants a little bit tougher than the normal ones you find running around? They even looked a bit different. I should also mention at this point we got separated from the other two initiates, and Shin wanted me to go find them. This was about the time that I found a trail of blood, and I was really glad that I took that picture that Houston was joking about a few minutes ago. On the way down, we found Norwin dead. Guess he wasn't as prepared as he thought he was for this. We made our way into what seemed like the center of the cave with a bunch of different paths heading in every direction. And this is where we find Houston, on a mine that's about to explode if she moves. Shin did the honorable thing and dove onto it with his power armor before it exploded and hurt him pretty bad. Honestly, I don't know how he was still alive with his face exposed. This, however, gets the attention of a shitload of more super mutants. Houston and I fought him off, and I'm honestly surprised the girl actually held her own. Shocked the hell out of me with the way she was about ready to crap herself earlier. Just goes to show you don't always judge a book by its cover. After the dust settled, she decided to stay there and help Shin recover, and they told me to head back to Fort Atlas to tell everybody what happened. One of the things found in the uncanny caverns was a damaged Pip-Boy, so I took that to Valdez to see if she can figure out where it came from and who it belonged to. She then told me that she's still worried about Marcia, who hadn't shown up yet, and wanted me to go find her. So she wanted me to go talk to her brother Max to see if he might have some idea of where she went. So he told me then to talk to Ramirez, and Ramirez is a terrible liar. Apparently, Marcia was unhappy with the Brotherhood and went to go talk to the Crater Raiders. Specifically the War Party with Sheena and Burke. Sure, what the hell, I'll go talk to them. So I make my way up to Crater, and it turns out that Burke and Sheena are missing, and Marcia is talking to Pierce and wants to go find them. Last she heard, they were at the AMS corporate headquarters. So we make our way over there, the two of us. She's determined to help, and I guess that place had been taken over by the Hellcat mercenaries. Place was absolutely crawling with them, as well as some robots. Making our way through, taking out robots and Hellcats, we found a dove necklace that Marcia recognized belonged to Burke. She also recognized one of the bodies that apparently belonged to one of the Crater Raiders that came with Sheena and Burke. Found some other notes that they had written as well. Sounded like Sheena and Burke were in deep shit, and they'd gotten captured by these bastards. Eventually, we make our way up to the top and find Sergeant Kit, who apparently is their leader. And he's just sitting there taunting me like he's got no spine. He sends all his goons to do his work for him, but we take them out pretty quickly. And finally, he's like, well, if you wanted something done right, you gotta do it yourself. I'm not afraid of a guy in power armor, especially if he's not wearing a helmet. I really don't understand why people in power armor do not wear helmets. Isn't your face the most important part to protect? Dumbass. Taught him a lesson he'll never forget. Oh wait, he's dead. But we found the key that unlocked the cell that Sheena and Burke were holed up in, so we made our way down to where they were and let them go, and they said that Marcia was family. However, she does have family that needs her. Max needs to be taught not to be a bootlicker. If it weren't for him, I'd tell her to say hell with the Brotherhood of Steel and to join these people, but Marcia is his hero, so he needs to see her doing the right thing. I completely understand why she doesn't want to be around the Brotherhood of Steel after what happened with her parents, but again, Max needs to be taught not to be a bootlicker with these people, and if she's not around, he's just going to be another body for the Brotherhood of Steel to throw into the fire. So Marcia is going to go back to Fort Atlas, but she is not going to be joining the Brotherhood of Steel. And that's about it for... Valdez does say that they tried their best, and I'm sure they did, but that's awful. And they do need to be held accountable. As does the Hellcats. The experiments they're doing with Ultrasight, it's insane. Anyway, that about does it for this one, so, hey, why don't you come wrap this up?
Finally, man.
So, anyway, I have been playing Pyro a lot. He is now well over level 100, and I was determined to wrap up Wastelanders because I've really wanted a full set of Secret Service armor and wanted to take advantage of Minerva's sales. So, I was assigned Crater, and it makes sense with Pyro the way his character is, and I was determined to side with the Crater Raiders, but god damn is the end of the Crater Raider story so buggy. I played through the Crater story not too long ago on PC and had some issues with a couple of different quests. The one where you go find Lucky Lou in that mine or in the cave, and basically Weasel wasn't blowing a hole in the wall where she should have been, and I think it was because I was on a public team, so I went through a second time not on a public team, and it was fine. Fast forward to the Old West and Shuffle, and when I was playing on PC, the door down to the arena was not opening. And I've talked to other people who've said that that happened to them as well. And once again, I was on a public team, so went through not on a public team, and it worked fine. That was not the case going through on Xbox. I tried the Old West and Shuffle at least 4 or 5 times, and I was having so many different bugs with it. Some of them weren't bad. Johnny not having an arm down at the end of the quest, that wasn't a big deal. And I actually did have that bug again when I was actually in the vault with the settlers. Somebody didn't have a left arm. But the issues that I was having was the dialogue wasn't happening at the end. Either Hal was in a completely different part of the arena, so he wasn't there to talk to Johnny, or everything would go fine and Johnny says his dialogue but then doesn't do what he's supposed to do at the end of that quest. So yeah, again, 4 or 5 times, not on a public team, would not complete the quest. So I'm like, alright, fine, I guess Pyro's gonna have to settle, go in with the settlers. So yeah, I did, and didn't have any issues going in, through the vault with Pyro and the settlers. Except, again, somebody once again didn't have a left arm, but that wasn't that big of a deal. That wasn't a game-breaking bug. So Bethesda, if you're listening to this, please, for the love of God, fix that quest. You shouldn't be forced to side with the settlers, who aren't always the nicest of people. Paige really needs to work on his people skills. Anyway, so I have finished Wastelanders with him, and am looking forward to completing. Like, I've got the full set of Secret Service armor now. I just need the jetpack and the mods that go with it. So anyway, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to continuing on with Steel Rain and the Skyline Valley story. So anyway, I'm going to quit rambling, and I will see you all in the Wasteland.
He posted some pictures. I see the guy, the one-armed man here. I would love it if he would switch arms and then still raise the gun, even though his arm is gone.
Just floating, like Rayman. Yeah. So for anyone who hasn't ever seen this bug, which is it's a rare one, and Stillwater got it a couple times. Don't know what's happening there. You just get like a nub, just like a shoulder nub. They got a right arm, and then just a little bump. And it's interesting because it happened with the armor too. The one with the person in the stealth armor.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, what is amusing is half the things that he had happen with the old Weston Shuffle. Johnny Two Guns Weston there. Which, by the way, once he lost an arm, he was no longer Johnny Two Guns Weston, just one gun. But he's supposed to, after they have the conversation, he's supposed to shoot the other guy, and that keeps the quest going. And he just wouldn't shoot. But Solier had a couple other issues too, from the to people not walking where they're supposed to walk, and all kinds of issues. It's the kind of thing where it was fine when Wastelanders happened, and like a lot of us did it. But all these updates, sometimes older quests start to have issues if they have too many scripts involved, So hopefully they continue to fix such things.
We can only hope. Well, let's see. We have up next our good buddy Steve. So everyone, give Steve a nice Kiora. Or I said that horribly. Kiora. See, it throws me off because it's two words when he writes it, but he pronounces it as one word. You know what I mean?
What? We actually missed you. You froze on us. What did you say?
You
I'm
know,
sorry.
it's not worth repeating. All right, so we will see what Steve is getting to do.
Kia ora, everybody. Steve here with my feedback for Wilson Phillips. I'm still walking everywhere. I kind of didn't want to sometimes, but I pushed myself into it. I got to the White Springs, and I remembered a few weeks ago I was talking about sneaking through the White Springs and not attracting a horde. Well, I did not avoid them this time by accident. I didn't mean to attract them. And I think I attracted every feral ghoul and glowing one and Wendigo in the place. It was a pretty epic battle, actually. They followed me all the way across the property to the pro shop area, which has that little short wall out there by the parking lot that you can get on. Well, I used that wall to continually pick them off as I attracted them over. It's cool they program those mobs to run away when you're unreachable.
Yep.
So you do have to keep coming down and getting into danger to keep attracting them. So that was fun. I am level 36 now, and while I was up near Atlas, I finished off the penultimate Mistress of Mystery quest. So when they sent me down to the Uncanny Caverns, I thought, oh, that's super convenient. I'll just swing by Riverside Manor. And so I finished that off, and too bad there aren't any repeatable quests or missions to send you back out on, but it's a pretty good one for the side quest. It's always worth doing. And so I put on the full outfit. I got the garb of mystery and the eye of Ra, and I've got my sword and my gun. And now I'm headed off to the Uncanny Caverns to go meet up with the Brotherhood. I go inside the caverns, and I'm wondering, I'm like, oh, there's Night Shin. Is he going to recognize me? Look at me. I'm still wearing the mystery garb and Orb of Ra with the mask. Yeah, well, it didn't faze him at all. He's like, good to see you, soldier. I'm really familiar with the layout of the caverns because I've run the daily ops in there so many times, and so that's good. It's good going through there. Had fun fighting those super mutants. Those are cool war paints on them. I was using my vampire shotgun, which is great, but it does break easy. It breaks fast. Don't explosive weapons break faster? And I don't have any of the keep it perks, keep it healthy for your weapon perks. So yep, Night Shin. I think I liked him more when he was a jerk. I feel like his personality's changing. Are they trying to portray him as a nice guy now? I can't totally remember how the quests end up in the end. So, yep. So I get out of the Uncanny Caverns and I start heading up the main highway. I think it's 62. Again, it's kind of the fastest way for me going north or south on the in the Toxic Divide. Just take that main highway, follow it. I ran into some level 50 Scorch next to the White Springs.
Oh, no.
On my way back up. And an Assaultron came out and helped me. But I think my explosive shots from the Fact Finder set it off. And so after the Scorch were dead, the Assaultron attacked me. And I was able to take it out with the help of a couple of stim packs. But then one of those big battle bots came out shooting at me. And I had to run and hide in the train station. So that's always fun when the robots at the White Springs are pissed off at you. But it wears off soon enough. And then I ran across some cultists under a bridge, and I'm reminded that I have taken up cannibalism. I have survival syringe, and then cannibalism helps me top that health off. It doesn't really fit my mental image of the character, but, it's efficient and quick. So I arrive back at Atlas, and now they're sending me all the way over to Crater. Okay, so gotta go over to Crater just to be sent to Watoga. Oh man, yeah. All right, so this is why I haven't finished the assignment today, but I'll keep plugging away at it. I'm headed to Watoga. Since we left Crater, I left Crater and headed up past the north of the Palace of the Winding Path and around that way, and so I'm going to Watoga by going through the mire. I'm up by the Red Rocket truck stop and Freddie Fear's house, so it should be a good run south, and it's fun to go through areas I haven't walked through yet. So, all right, everybody, thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the wasteland.
That is goddamn ridiculous that he is still running from Foundation to Crater to Watoga. That makes me want to cry.
They do
those are
send us
some
to
long
both sides of the
walks.
maps. Yeah.
Jesus. I cannot believe he's keeping up with that.
A lot of travel, but hey, like you said, you can lump it together. He went and did Riverside Manor because it was convenient to Uncanny Caverns and
It
such.
really does make you prepare before you go. You know what I mean? You don't want to get there and be like, fuck.
Forgot
to
my
do
toothbrush.
something. Yeah, no, it's, yeah. Ugh.
You've got to plan your itinerary. And also,
Absolutely.
just think about getting cucumbered. I mean, you might have scrap kits and such, but there's no way to really drop off your junk without fast traveling,
First in your tent. I
Train
guess.
stations.
Well, train stations don't have scrap boxes, but yeah, you can sell stuff and you can get your stash. And I suppose if he's using a survival tent, that would make a big difference. For
Yeah,
sure, for
that'd be
scrapping.
a big help.
Mm-hmm.
Which I assume he is. I don't know if he's using or not.
I keep
but
forgetting I
assume
have
he
it.
has Fallout first. I don't know.
He did at one point, we all did, but not everyone kept it.
All right. Well, thank you, good sir, Steve. Looking forward to your continued adventures, sir. Let's see who we have up next. To see we did Silio, got Steve. Oh, up next we've got
Episode 5, Leadership and Revelations. After the attack of Fort Atlas, Toe found out that Russell Dorsey had received news of major super mutant attacks across Appalachia. Foundation was attacked, but the settlers appeared to be holding their own against the super mutants. Russell asked Toe to inform Paladin Romani and Knight Shin of the attacks, and that Foundation believes the attacks are coming from the Uncanny Caverns. The decision is made for Knight Shin, Initiate Toe, Initiate Norland, Shin's favorite, and Initiate Hewson to meet at Uncanny Caverns. Norland is known for his dedication and enthusiasm. Hewson is known for being a nervous Nelly. When arriving at the caverns, Knight Shin emphasized that they were to confirm the threat and neutralize it. Searching the cavern, Norland found a rock slide that might be cleared, while Toe and Initiate Hewson found a crevice that an unarmored soldier could crawl through. Shin instructed Norland and Hewson to check the crevice while Toe cleared the rock slide with a shovel. After clearing the rock slide, Knight Shin and Toe were attacked by some undernourished super mutants who'd apparently been underground for a long time. They realized that the passage that the others took might loop around, putting the other initiates in danger. They found Norland dead. Shin took it hard as he had sent them through the crevice, which seemed like the safer option. They soon found Hewson. She had set off a trap, but could not move. Shin jumped on the explosive so that his power armor would take the blast. He was hurt, but Hewson and Toe fought off the mutants who had rushed in. Once they were dispatched, Hewson led the way back to Knight Shin and administered first aid, while Toe searched to see if there were more mutants. There weren't any, but she found a damaged Pip-Boy and took it back to Knight Shin and Initiate Hewson. Shin said that he was in good hands with Initiate Hewson, and as soon as he was able, they'd give Initiate Norland a fitting burial and proceed to Fort Atlas. Shin was surprised at Toe's compassion for him, and told her to take the Pip-Boy to Scribe Valdez to check it for clues to where the super mutants might have gotten it. Tow went on ahead to Fort Atlas. Upon Tow's arrival, Scribe Valen took the Pip-Boy and began to run a diagnostic on it to see what she could learn. In the meantime, she asked Tow to try to find a girl named Marcia Leone, as she had gone to Fort Atlas for supplies and hadn't been seen in a few days. Valdez was getting worried, and told Tow that other initiates who had returned from Foundation hadn't seen Marcia. Valdez sent Tow to see Marcia's brother, Maximo, to see if he knew anything about her disappearance. Maximo, Max to his friends, said his sister was acting weird and that Tow should talk to Marcia's best friend, Initiate Ramirez. Tow found Ramirez and convinced him to tell her what he knew. Apparently, Marcia blamed the Brotherhood for the death of her mother and was likely running away to join the Raiders. At Crater, Tow learned that Sheena and Burke were missing, and Marcia had been assigned to try to get them back from the AMS headquarters in Watoga, since she had provided the information that they were there to get. This would prove to the Raiders that Marcia is worth letting into their quote-unquote family. Tow's betrayal of Sheena the week before didn't help, since she'd given her bad intel on the Brotherhood. Tow had been to Watoga in her travels, so it was not difficult to find the Automated Mining Services building. Going upstairs in the elevator, she found Marcia fighting a mercenary. After dealing with the mercenary, Marcia said she had already checked this floor, so they looked for a way upstairs. There were no stairs or elevators, just a pneumatic tube system for moving people. How bizarre, but it worked. Marcia lamented losing everyone she'd ever cared for. Tow wasn't sympathetic and spoke of the realities of the wasteland and should not have been so crude. The AMS building was strange for a mining company. There were cages everywhere. They must have been testing the things they'd dug up, including ultrasight, on animals, as there was an animal holding section that contained automated turrets. Tow found a note about Subject 67. A cow was exposed to heated ultrasight with a double standard dosing. It grew a second head with no loss of function. Is AMS where the two-headed Brahmin came from? Is heated ultrasight the source of many advanced radiation mutations? Proceeding up the tower, they found a terminal with a note from Sheena saying that she and Burke had to surrender to the mercenaries. A terminal identified the mercenaries as a group called the Hellcats and mentioned a Sergeant Kit. It warned against opening the nearby door, but it had to be done. They could hear voices upstairs. They started to encounter Hellcats and found AMS CEO Kilson's office. Entries on his terminal confirmed that they were using their contributions to Watoga and their association with Robco to hide their other operations from the politicians. It also confirmed that Hornwright was the better mining company when it came to drilling applications, and AMS would be purchasing their auto miners as fast as they could. Penny Hornwright had spent some time working with AMS, and Kilson emphasized that she had not stolen any technology from AMS, and had in fact been helpful in licensing technology from Hornwright Industries that helped AMS overall. The terminal also contained a report confirming Ultrasight's unusual properties for energy production, and that its origin and spread in the area still remained a mystery. On the next floor, they found Hellcat Sergeant Kit in a room they couldn't get into. He activated the building's security robots, mostly Protectrons, but there was another type that Tow had never seen before. They rode on tracks and were topped not with a sensor suite, but what looked like a human brain. What had AMS and Robco been up to? Once the robots were dispatched, Marcia and Tow faced Sergeant Kit in a type of power armor that was also new to Tow. It was much heavier and rounded, more than any she had ever seen. Fortunately, Tow's and Marcia's tactical training and the architecture of the AMS building worked together to save them. There was enough cover to protect them and confuse Sergeant Kit until he was defeated. A note found on the sergeant revealed that the Hellcat Company had a reputation for kidnapping from the Raiders, and also working with the Blue Ridge Caravan Company. The note was only signed B. As the note mentioned capture of Raiders, Marcia was encouraged that Sheena and Burke might still live. She also had no idea who B might be. They had to keep searching the building for the holding cells mentioned in the note. In the office where Sergeant Kit had been sequestered, they found a key for an AMS basement, so they headed downstairs using another of the pneumatic tubes which went directly to the lobby. There, the key unlocked a door to the basement stairs. After dispatching a few guards, they found Sheena and Burke in the holding cells. A terminal and a holotape revealed the nature of the experiments that someone had been doing on people in the basement. It also allowed the release of Sheena and Burke. Marcia told Toe that she blamed the Brotherhood for her mother's death because she was in the town that was given the missile launchers for defense. The townspeople didn't know tactics and little about the use of missile launchers. The raiders threatening the town defeated the Brotherhood and killed everyone, including Marcia and Maximo's mother, and took the missile launchers. Because she and her brother had hidden as their mother had told them to, they were the only survivors and went with the Brotherhood to Appalachia. Toe convinced Marcia that the Brotherhood had done all that they could and that she should come back to the Brotherhood, Maximo and her friend initiate Ramirez, as that is what her mother would have wanted. The raider Sheena was so furious at Toe defeating her again that she wouldn't let Toe help with Burke's wounds. Toe released them and left them some stim packs anyway. Toe felt this was the best way to maintain the balance of power in Appalachia. Then she and Marcia left for Fort Atlas. Toe went directly to Scribe Valdez with the AMS Research holotape and told her what she had learned about the incident between Paladin Romani and Knight Shen. She showed her the note about the cooperation between the Hellcats Company and the Blue Ridge Caravan Company, written by the mysterious B. Balin realized that Marcia had told the raiders of the Brotherhood's interest in the AMS building and concluded that the Hellcats and the Blue Ridge Caravan Company were somehow involved in the recent disappearances in the area. Balin told Toe to report her findings to Paladin Romani. Crossing the rotunda again, Toe was pleased that Initiate Houston had firmed up and seemed like she may work herself into being a reasonable soldier after all. Toe contemplated the implications of what she had learned and realized that she forgot to tell the scribe about the robot-human hybrids she had seen and that they might be worth further investigation.
Hybrids, huh? Sounds a little fishy to me. Better go check them out.
Indeed. Some real adventures from Toe there. I love how Lee told the story on that one. And, good to hear everybody's perspective on Houston and Norland, the other novices. I still feel bad about Norland kicking it.
Do you?
I mean, yeah, a little. I don't want to lose anybody.
Up for it. He knew the risks of signing up.
He did. I mean, he had his orders from Shin. It's funny, initially playing through this, these quests are where I started to have more empathy and sympathy for Shin, because you could tell that he wanted what was best for his people, and he wanted to be a good leader, wanted to be a good example, and he had reasons behind it. But this time playing through, throughout the whole first half of Still Dawn, I feel most of us generally felt Shin was Shin was right a lot of the time. Yeah, he's a bit blunt, he's a bit rude, but he is also, got the best interest of what's proper and maybe best for his people in mind a lot of the time.
Yeah, but you still gotta be nice, Shin. Come on.
And Lee clarified when he
so
talked about
clever.
hybrids, talk about robo-brains.
Puff of smoke. Blast of lightning. All right. So we have some iguana bits to get into and a Fallout terminal velocity. Since we just got through a bunch of feedback, let's go ahead and visit some iguana bits, and then we'll close out tonight with a Fallout terminal velocity here in just a little bit. So, Jess, why don't you line up and see what sort of stewed reptile we have in the cans tonight?
Jessica, to the office, please. Jessica, to the office. Your iguana bits are ready. Please come pick them up. Yeah, so maybe a little chewy tonight, but some good hearty iguana bits. So not a lot of them, but we got are pretty hearty. First of all, I just want to mention for, after the roundtable feedback this week, next week we've got 2 more quests we're going to be doing, and there are some big ones. We're going to go with Romani Undercover. That is a great one. And then we're going to head into Vault 96. So, yeah, these are a couple of big quests going. Steel Rain is shorter quest-wise than Still Dawn. Only 5 quests total. Can you believe it?
I didn't realize that I guess. I guess I didn't look at the schedule closely. I didn't when you were like, "Well, we're getting close to wrapping up this season." I was like, "What? What? We should have like 2 or 3 more episodes of Quest left." No, we're getting near the end already.
Yeah, we're getting through it. There are only 5 quests, but they're really hardy, just like these iguana bits. So here's the one you've been waiting for, Andrew. Here is the one. Kumail
Drum roll, please. Come on.
Nanjiani. Oh, drum roll. Okay, hold on. I didn't have it open. Guys, Kumail Nanjiani. This is a rumor, but it's a good rumor. Kumail Nanjiani
Indoor Kids World Tour starting in Indianapolis, Indiana.
has been confirmed by insider Jeff Snyder as being part of the Fallout show second season.
Yay! What do you think?
Yeah, so,
I don't specifically remember him playing Fallout. I assume he liked playing Fallout. I remember him being a huge Skyrim fan.
yeah, so it's funny. For those who don't know, Andrew and I were both big fans of the Indoor Kids, one of the first big funny video game podcasts back, around 2009 to 2012.
They had podcasts back then?
I mean, maybe like 2010 it started. No, it wasn't one of the first podcasts. There were others, but still pretty early in the world. And Kumail and his wife Emily had a podcast. And Kumail often said that, with Skyrim was kind of just like all video games are leading up to this. Like he was so into Skyrim, so into he just couldn't believe how deep it was and immersed it was. And that is the reason why I believe Andrew started playing Skyrim, which led him to Skyrim Addict, which led him to Fallout, which led him to us.
Kumail Nanjiani is the reason you guys are listening to this podcast right now.
So, blame him. Blame Kumail. No, he gets enough of that already. But yeah, so Jeff Snyder is an insider scoop journalist, much like the people who give us scoops in the gaming world. He's a scoop journalist in Hollywood when it comes to film and television. And he does a newsletter called The In Snyder, because his name's Snyder, so In Snyder. Yeah, it's clever. But this has not been confirmed by Amazon Prime yet. So you can take these iguana bits with a grain of salt, maybe a couple, add a little flavor. But he's got a really good record. And yeah, so Kumail Nanjiani will be playing a high-ranking Brotherhood of Steel official.
What?
Elder Nanjiani.
Elder.
Can you imagine? I don't know, but he got all buff acting in the Eternals and doing all these big movies.
You got to be swole to be in a Marvel flick,
Yeah. So who knows what he's going to do? But it was reported by Jeff Snyder first, and it's obviously made its way all over the gaming news the last 2 days. This was just a day and a half ago. It was revealed. So hopefully we get some actual corroboration from Amazon soon. But as many of you may know, filming on the Fallout TV show was supposed to start a couple of weeks ago. It has been delayed due to the fires around LA, of course. Much more important, a lot going on there right now.
Yeah.
Now it's tentatively scheduled to pick up and start filming again in mid-February.
Definitely understandable, the delay in schedule.
Right? But still, that's exciting news. We got Macaulay Culkin and Kumail.
I forgot Macaulay Culkin was announced a few weeks ago, too. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to have a scientist and a Brotherhood official. And I'm really excited for second season. And
wouldn't mind seeing some more Benjamin Linus, in flashback modes or something, too. I always like that actor. What's his name? I forget his real name.
Oh, I'm suddenly forgetting as well, even though he's one of my faves. But yeah, I can't imagine we're going to get much from him unless they delve into the story of that Enclave facility and what was actually happening there.
They won't.
Or we get the CX-404 main character flashback. The episode from the perspective of the dog.
It's when I was a pup.
When I was just a pup, chewing on bones in the research lab.
Some really nice man started sticking me with needles.
But we don't know because that crew is really good at linking things together, weaving those threads. So we have, we've got the questions about Moldaver and what happened with her in between, before the Great War and when we saw her again. We've got questions about Benjamin Linus Wilzig, is his name. We got questions about Wilzig and, what that facility was doing, how he was captured, all their research. and other groups. And now we are heading to the New Vegas area, the Mojave. We know we're going to see, I mean, it could just be a place that looks like Novak, but that was the Novak sign. Like, it was so spot on, right?
Yeah.
So, going to get Novak and that whole region. Do you think we're going to get the Hoover Dam? Think we're going to get the dam?
Yeah, you have to, right?
It's a big part of that region.
Really is.
I bet
And
you we'll
Novak
get
is
the power
halfway there.
station with the beam of the down from the heavens, the
Yeah.
what is that?
And
What are things called?
I'm thinking Moldaver is going to be cryo.
Yeah, it's got to be cryo, right? And probably cryo, maybe in New Vegas, like there might be tied to some kind of cryo facility there too. We don't know,
See,
but
I was
going
going
to
to ask that
get into
because
it.
at the end of I wasn't paying super close attention, but I'd forgotten the details. But I caught a couple of comments like, "Oh, your father is much older than he says he is." You know, like he's been around for longer than he says. And then I remembered, oh wait, yeah, he was like in the flashbacks. The ghoul met him back in the conversations in the office. Oh wait, and then the secretary was there too. I forgot that she was there too. So like, either they're all cryo or ghouls, right? Those are our two options to get to the future. Are there other
Yeah.
options besides those two routes?
Well, we know that the dad was in the storage vault for the management.
And that's
Yeah.
31, right? Because I remember they also said a comment like, "Isn't it weird how all of our overseers come from Vault 31?"
Right. Yeah. Which seems to be, I mean, that seems to be like a type of cryo going on there that they're in.
Right.
But yeah, we have that. And we did have the sign advertising cryo suites on one of the billboards during the pull out.
Oh, I didn't catch
At the
that.
end of the first season.
Oh,
There were
nice.
advertisements about cryo suites. So that is kind of the hint, the connection there. So that's most likely. But, you know, like I saw Ray's face, like there are other possibilities, right? In the world of Fallout, there are
Okay.
many types of science that could happen to explain getting into the future.
To get to the future besides cryo freezing and ghoulism. Besides longevity. And ghoulism, not just actually becoming ghoul, but I mean like long life. You know, actually living through the years. Is there any time travel? Like, has Fallout done that sort of thing ever?
I'm trying to think of, I mean, aside from the apocryphal TARDIS appearance in an episode, in the games.
In the original Fallout, how they had the TARDIS appear and then Godzilla's
I don't think
foot?
we've got time travel, but yeah. But you think about people stuck in, how about the people in Vault 112, for instance? That's not technically cryo,
Remind me.
but they kept
What was 112?
them alive. Vault 112, Tranquility Lane. You know, that whole simulation and killing them over and over again.
Okay. Yeah, and sort of a suspended reality type.
Yeah. I mean, technically,
Yeah.
they didn't survive being ejected from it, but but under better conditions, they may have.
Yeah.
You know, there may be other ways to extend life, but no real time travel that I can think of. Yeah, that would maybe be just a little
Interesting.
too far.
Yeah, so they've obviously, the at least the Vault Tech folks have obviously been cryo preserved there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mr. House was preserved, but
Sort of.
you know,
Pickled.
he was
An iron lung
He-
thing, right?
he was pretty frail and wrinkly when he got pulled out. So definitely not the leader of the NCR.
Yeah, because I mean, at the time they did New Vegas, the cryo wasn't ever shown as a viable thing until Fallout 4.
Right.
With that whole premise. So that was a surprise. So at that point, you know, Obsidian deciding how they were going to go with Mr. House, they're like, oh, well, he can keep himself alive, but, you know, at a cost, etc. But it does allow him to at least be functional, that he can maintain in this, but his mind can still be active. So that would be a difference between cryo when your mind's not able to be active during cryo.
Yeah.
So he's not able to get up and move around and stuff at all.
I mean, maybe he could a little bit, but not very well, right?
But there was some
Like
shadowy figure looking down on the meeting, I remember, and like
In the
then
past,
looked up
yep.
and winked at him, and it was just like, oh, was that? Oh, that was in the past. Yeah, it would have had to
Yeah.
been in the past. Okay, so
yeah, and
that was
we assume
him.
that was like
that was him
Stanislav
from the past.
Braun
We
and
think.
some of them.
Okay.
We think those were people higher ups at Vault Tech.
Oh, not
most
not
likely.
House. I was thinking, why would he be there?
Well, House was
in
at
the
the
meeting.
table. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, he was at the table, right?
Yeah.
And
So
there
the
was
shadowy figures
there
were
was a
Enclave or
Robco,
politics or
right? The table people were like our familiar companies, and
Yep.
the shadowy figures.
yeah, either
Have
politicians,
we seen
Enclave, or
this-
high up Vault-Tec people.
Let's see. What do we know of the Enclave from the show? We know the dog. We know Benjamin Linus. We know
That's it.
the perpetual energy. That was their technology, right? That he stole, or
I
no?
mean, it was no. It was Moldaver's technology that Vault-Tec purchased
right.
and was working
bought
on, and
all
then
of her
they recovered it.
companies. They bought up all the companies she had worked for, purchased all of her research, and then disappeared her. Right?
Yeah, but it wasn't quite perfected when they got it, so it was still kind of like half done, or most of the way done. It wasn't perfected, but over time they had perfected it, and that's why she was able to implement it.
Nice.
Yeah. So very cool stuff.
Season
Yay,
2.
Cold Fusion.
Come on.
Right. We need to connect these. There's so many threads, and I'm sure some will be unaddressed because mysteries are important. You need those fan theories, but
All right, so this is going to get so popular, this show, where they're going to start spinning off movies too, right? Little side story movies like the Star Wars universe, and so we're just going to have movies and shows and games, and there's just all sorts of stuff, right? We're going to get that.
I mean, games. I don't know. That might be a step too far. Can you imagine a game based on a series? Yeah.
Can you imagine a game based on this IP? Come on.
We did that joke a couple weeks ago, but you said it
It's
again.
boring. No one would play it.
Okay. Continue with the Iguana bits. We already kind of hit on the developer direct. I mentioned that. So not a whole lot of new news out of it for the world of Fallout, but a great Xbox lineup coming up this spring with all kinds of games. And of course, Avowed next month, which I'm excited about, from Obsidian. The one speculation, well, we'll talk about that in the future. No big deal. But yeah, we got some great games. Developer Direct was a lot of fun. If you're into any of that, I recommend watching it. I'm going to be playing most of those for sure. That's about it. There was news on the Switch too, and along with that, rumors about, and there are always rumors. I mean, there are always rumors about games like Fallout coming to Switch. But now there are rumors that they've resurfaced with the Switch 2 that several games that maybe weren't quite able to run on Switch because it wasn't quite powerful enough will be coming out on Switch 2 with the ports. So we'll see. But with all that, there's nothing new, obviously, at the Developer Direct on the Oblivion remaster that we were hoping for. We kind of figured within the last week or so that people were saying no, it wouldn't be there, and it wasn't. But hopefully it's still happening. So we will see if that's coming. Fallout 4, 3 on the Switch 2. We'll see. Hope springs eternal.
We can always hope. I've heard that story before, though.
Mostly from me. I'm sorry.
No, just like tons of clickbait articles, like Switch.
Yeah,
Fallout
clickbait
4
articles.
coming to Switch.
Looking ahead on the calendar, we do have Double Score coming up next weekend. Well, January 30th through February 3rd, so the end of next week. And then going into February, we've got Double XP mid-February happening, and Foshnock starts February 18th. So we got a few weeks until then, but hey, not that long till Foshnock, so get ready. There will be a couple new masks and some fun stuff. Also, there was an update early this week on the server. Just a quick quality of life update. What did they fix? Well, they fixed Selior's problem on the Wastelanders quest line.
Oh, nice.
A little bit late. Hunter for Hire, too. They fixed an issue on Hunter for Hire. And the Novice of Mysteries. There was a rare case where the quest could get stuck working with Kryptos and, that whole thing early on Mistress of Mysteries. They fixed that. Beyond that, it's just all quality of life stuff. Some perks, some weapon mods, some stuff with the Gleaming Depths. If you did the Gleaming Depths raid, and you heard Mothman whispering and, doing flapping his wings, the Gleaming Depths, you won't hear that anymore.
Oh.
What else? There was an issue with the trophy that they fixed for camps, and they've made it so pets are not going to get stuck as much. If you found your pets kind of getting stuck between items near the edge of your camp, items on the edge of the camp, they did fix that and the way that they'll respawn. You can build more billboards. They fixed the build limit on billboards, which is cool.
I didn't realize that was an issue.
There are a few things that you were supposed to be able to build more of that you couldn't. However, on the opposite side, they've actually adjusted some item camp budget to take more budget. So if you log into your camp and you were right near the edge and you're like, wait, why am I over budget? Why can't I move things? I believe a number of miscellaneous items and some prefabs, some other items in miscellaneous have had their flamingo units increased. So some things that were only 1 are now 2, and some prefabs that were 7 or 8 are now 12 to 13. I believe the Iron Forge, what do they call the Smithy Forge building? That prefab that came out. Anyway, that one and a few others got a pretty big increase.
Smithy Forge, I think, is what they call
it. That is not what they call it, but I like it. Like the Iron Mountain, maybe? Iron Mountain Forge? I don't know. But that's pretty much it. Nothing major to mention there, unless you ran into an issue with that. The Atomic Shop? Anything worth shouting out? No,
I haven't even
we're good.
looked this week.
Bundles. Oh, there's a kick-ass tow truck power armor station that I really, really like. Continuing the trend of vehicles that are multi-purpose, like an camp item that looks like a vehicle that does another thing. This tow truck is pretty killer. I do like that.
Sweet.
There's also a dead end sign, which you could previously see a few places in the game, but now you can get it at your camp. So that's pretty cool. Minerva will be at Foundation this coming week. You've got 2-3 days until she comes on next Tuesday. You're going to see Minerva, and she is going to be selling Thorn armor this week. So if you're a person who's been wanting Thorn armor, line up, get your Thorns.
Rush out, everybody.
It is good armor. We were actually chatting a little bit earlier in the show about which one's better, Secret Service, Thorn, or Solar. Yeah, so Thorn has the kind of ambient damage effect. And when, excuse me, when you've got a full set, you get a bonus. It helps with sneak. It does sneak. And trying to remember what else. It has a few effects, where Solar has a healing effect built in. And Secret Service, between all of them, has slightly more defense, but it doesn't quite have the cool bonus effects that Thorn and Solar have.
But don't you have mutations that do Solar and Thorn? Like your little poison cloud and...
Not quite the same. Not.
Okay.
I mean, actually, with the legendaries, maybe closer now than it used to be. Yeah. Keep in mind that stuff came out 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Vault 94 raids.
Can't believe we're still playing that same. And Ray's over here like, I'm playing Skyrim still.
Exactly. But that's it for the bits. Just a little jumble of fun stuff. The Kumail news was what I was wicked excited about.
Yeah, that's very cool. I'm excited to see what they do. I do have a question about sort of like video game system, like development, marketing, such. At what point do they switch the names? Ironically, you said switch. At what point do they change the names of their systems? Does it have to do with the popularity of the previous one? Like the Nintendo Wii was just like this hugely popular thing, so they came out with like the Wii U, which was the successor, but like not nearly as important.
And hugely unpopular.
Super
almost
disappointing.
tanked the company.
So am I thinking the Switch, like they're gonna try to do something, but it's gonna be like a mega flop, like that sort of thing? Like, but I guess Super Nintendo was equally as popular as Nintendo, so.
Yeah, so Nintendo has a weird thing where they don't do iterative consoles. They don't do numbers. They don't just do an improved version of the previous one. It's always got a new gimmick, a new thing, etc. But now with Switch 2, we don't see that. So Nintendo to Super Nintendo was maybe the last time that they did more iterative. You know what I mean? Like just a more powerful version of this. But back then, we were moving from 16-bit to 32-bit and all that stuff.
Yep.
But then, N64, big change and, totally different controllers. GameCube, very different form factor and such. The Wii, obviously, cool gimmick.
Totally,
Wii U, totally new gimmick. Switch, totally new gimmick. And they almost never have two really successful consoles in a row.
Nope.
It's kind of been their thing. Wii, great. Wii U, not so much.
Nope.
Not since Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Both of those were successful, But this is going to buck the trend. So yeah, maybe they're being a little more conservative. They've added a share button. They've made it more in line with regular systems, where it should be a a little more powerful than, in some ways than PS4. Not up with current gen, but be able to play more ported games and really boost it. They've got some good features, but I have a feeling it's Nintendo, right? They're not going to tell us everything till April, and there's probably going to be a gimmick with it. There's probably going to be something, whether it's 1-2 Switch 2. Remember how they did ARMS last time? That game where like you held up the Joy-Cons, you were punching with arms?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we'll get legs this time. It'll be a big kicky game or something. Because the Joy-Con's still attached. You can still do stuff with them. That's all still there.
Yeah. I'm intrigued. Or worried. I can't tell which yet.
But yeah, Solior says, surprised they went to Switch 2, but people think it was to avoid the whole Wii U mess. And exactly. They're not going to make Switch U. Like, that would be the kiss of death. Switch U.
Should just call it FU.
Flamingo units? Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
The Nintendo Super Switch 64.
Super Switch.
Mash it all together.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Let's roll into some Fallout Terminal Velocity before we sign off for the evening. We're checking in with Solior as we wrap up the adventure over there at Fort Defiance. This is the third terminal, and we'll see what they're getting into.
Hello, fellow Wastelanders. Eric, aka Sulior here, and I am back with another Terminal Velocity. This is from Paladin Elizabeth Taggarty herself. And it looks like this is the last terminal in Fort Defiance that has really any relevant information. So here we go. So this first one is titled Scorch Beast Analysis, and it says, "We've learned so much since we lost contact with Elder Maxon. Grant says it's pretty much worst case. Threat assessment. Actual Sierra Bravos are reinforced, mobile, and cunning predators. Bravos use echolocation to call in ground reinforcements. The breeding cycle for the Bravos is off the charts. The saving grace in all this is that the Sierra Bravos only nest in specific places. We found 3 nests in old mining tunnels below the bog, but there's a main nest somewhere that's the real problem. In order to stop the Bravos from spreading outside Appalachia and possibly becoming an extinction event, we have to destroy their main nests." Alright, this next one is titled Ultimate Solution, and it says, "Every last Bravo needs to be destroyed. Maxon forbade us using nukes, but a few years back we found one of the missile silos, and the old security system was formidable. As a last resort, we need to find a way in. Senator Sam Blackwell was on the Nuclear Energy Committee, so he might know something, but no one knows where his bunker is, except maybe Quinn Carter of the Charleston Herald. One way or another, if touchdown fails, the nuclear option may be our only option. Maxon's orders be damned." Alright, this next one is titled Strange New World, and it says, "Everything is different. We send information to Lost Hills about what we see and what we have faced, and they have a hard time believing it. Some of the things they face are equally strange. The new plants, animals, monsters. It's hard to keep track of. To some degree, I've given up on even trying. But one thing is clear. These Scorched and the Scorch Beasts are something different. We need to focus on them. All these other threats, even the giant hulking mutants, we can handle them. But how will we handle the Scorched?" Alright, this next one is titled Ultrasight Power Armor, and it's from Scribe Grant to Paladin Taggarty. And it says, "I've taken the schematics Scribe Tanako transmitted as far as I can. I think I fixed the coolant leak problem, but I just don't know. If we ever get some serious time and resources, I can try building one, but the list of components is intimidating." There's an attachment of the Ultrasight Power Armor schematics. Next, we get to some stored logs, and these are personal notes. And this one's from Paladin Taggarty, but it doesn't say who it's going to, and the subject is personal notes. And it says, 2 months and no word from Maxon. Grant's declared communications with the West Coast dead,
and dead for good. Every time we think we have the Bravos licked, they come back in greater numbers. Only Grant and Wilson know of Tanako's final assessment. If word got out, we can't guarantee there won't be panic. Every day that goes by, we're chewing through ammo, power, and sometimes nights. We desperately need to make it to the end zone, or Appalachia's toast, or far worse. Alright, this next one is titled Change of Priorities, and it's from Paladin Integrity to all Brotherhood forces. And it says, up to now our priorities have been secure, dangerous, and useful technology, protect the people of Appalachia, and expand our operational capacity. But the brass has talked, and we're changing that. We have a plan to lure the Scorch Beasts into a kill zone with some tech that Scribe Tanaka and Scribe Grant have been working on. Until the skies are clear, our new priority is to wipe the Scorch Beasts out. Some of you will be receiving orders to secure food, munitions, and other supplies from the responders in Free States. Be firm. Tell them that the Scorch Beast threat is real and that once it is dealt with, the Brotherhood will once again help protect them. Under no circumstances are you to initiate hostilities or even take supplies. However, in order to get the supplies we need, you're authorized to ignore salvage rights claims. If it's not one of their farms, put simply, it's fair game. I know that this is controversial, but we don't have time to play politics. There's a war on, and let's win it. Ad Victoriam. Alright, this next one is titled Satellite is Down, and it's from Paladin Integrity to Knight Wilson. And it says, we lost contact with USA-1103 today. Grant's got the backup already up, but he doesn't know how long it'll work. Elder Maxon said that we have to accept that there'll be a point where we're on our own. So if there's any urgent info you need, ask it now. The window is closing. Wanted to give you a heads up that we're mothballing the Grafton Dam outpost. The Scorch Beasts are just getting too dangerous. We'll need to reinforce our patrols with power-armored knights. I'm sending Esposito your way. I hate to dissolve her command, but she can be a real asset to you. Screen the squires carefully. I don't want any weak links. Ad Victoriam. Alright, this next one is titled Fort Defiance, and it's from Paladin Integrity to Fort Defiance. And it says, Camp Venture served us well as our base of operations, but with the new class graduating, we are ready to expand. So, welcome to Fort Defiance. Let me address some of the concerns raised about relocating. The Cranberry Bog has formidable challenges, but by basing ourselves here, we protect Appalachia from them. These threats also act as a deterrence from raids and other intruders. It becomes our shield. The fort itself is indeed too large for our purposes now, but we won't outgrow it anytime soon. The previous purpose of this institution some find distasteful. Noted. Now here's a chance to clean it up and make it our own. For those who served in uniform, you're used to toughing it out. For those who haven't, it's your opportunity to develop grit and character. Ad Victoriam. And that is the last entry here for Paladin Integrity. And that is the last of the Fort Defiance entries. So anyway, until next time, I will see you all in the wasteland.
To participate in the Fallout Terminal Velocity Project, send your special letters, holotapes, and terminal entries to thefalloutfeed@gmail.com.
So is the big move from Fort Defiance to...
It was from Fort Venture to Fort Defiance. And just as a
Venture to
note,
Defiance. Okay.
Right, these tardy logs, they're actually in the terminal in reverse order. So they were kind of read from newest to oldest there.
Oh.
Yeah. So, they had moved from Venture to Fort Defiance, cleaning it up, calling it their own, and then continued working with the Brotherhood and slowly dealt with the issues with the responders and Free States and losing communications, dealing with the Scorched. And then the last one is the one where she's talking about 2 months and no word from Maxon. We've lost communication. Every time we think we have the Bravos licked, they come back in greater numbers and all that. So that was all before the big push at the end.
Taggarty and her group have anything to do with Fort Atlas at all?
No. Well, I mean, in a way, the whole reason why they came to investigate is
Was
because
Taggarty's
they had established and they had lost communication, and so they knew things were going wrong here. They knew that there had been BOS here that were formed because they were previously friends. I mean, Taggarty knew Maxon from back in the day.
Which Maxon is this? Is like a great grandfather or great grandfather or
This is the original. This is the original Maxon.
Yeah, the original. But how many generations of Maxons have there been? And have they always been at the helm, or like was our Maxon in Fallout 4 sort of like a resurgence of the Maxons?
They've pretty much always been at the helm, right? So Roger Maxon's the original. He's the founder. Then we had, I believe, John Maxon. I believe there were 2 generations between. We had Roger Maxon or 2, and then Arthur Maxon, I think, is the 4th. Yeah, I think Arthur Maxon is 4th generation. And so they've generally always been in charge, but there was maybe a period where they weren't for a little bit. I don't know what happened West Coast during this stuff around New Vegas when the Brotherhood was kind of chased out, and I don't know who was alive for a while there. Because they talk about how, because we had Elder Lions here on the East Coast, and they talk about how the Brotherhood felt good and, with Maxon back in charge. And so that's why I think, during that period they were scattered. I don't know if any Maxon was alive on the West Coast or if there were a few years where John was dead and Arthur, our Maxon, was too young.
Were there sort of like splintered off groups, or was it supposed to be a whole unified army? I understand that, but like, were there actually really kind of like 4 or 5 different groups of Brotherhood scattered around the country in that case? Because we don't know what's happening with them on the West Coast.
Yeah. There was also some in Chicago.
Right.
Chicago, really?
That's Fallout Tactics is where that whole thing came from.
You guys played that game? Neither of you played that though, right?
Nope. No, but that's the whole thing with the Brotherhood, right? Is that they formed out west, and then we have this Appalachian chapter, which didn't last long until, now we have the Atlas crew. But as they, got some power and they tried to reestablish communications, so they formed up with a couple various groups in the military that, they had still some communication with. And then as they grew themselves, they sent out exploratory groups and reestablished bases. And so they were starting to grow. But when things went bad with the NCR, that's when, the West Coast, a bunch of different locations they essentially had a long battle of attrition. Because initially they were working with the NCR, you know what I mean? They became good friends between Fallout 1 and Fallout 2. And then things went bad. And there was a war. And so
Shady Sands happened.
Right. Then the Brotherhood were on their kind of, not last legs, but they were very scattered for a while there and lost communication. That's why we have like the Lost Hills chapter in New Vegas, right? And that was one of, I believe, if I remember right, it was like 5 or 6 chapters that were still on the West Coast, but kind of all spread out and lost out of communication. And this is all from old logs. We need terminal velocity of that stuff too, from Fallout 2.
Fallout 2 terminal velocities coming at you. All right. Thanks for your help with that, Solior. So yeah, that looks like our show for this evening. Is there any other topics you'd like to bring up before we sign off?
I think we're good.
And in that case, you can find her on all social media at SleepIs4T, and she likes to hang out in our Discord group. Hey Jess, thanks for hopping on tonight.
Have a great weekend, y'all.
And Ray is at RayLB everywhere and also likes to hang out in the Discord group. And he can also be found at BBCISSS for all of the Butcher Baker, Candlemaker, and space stuff. Ray, thanks so much.
Good times.
The show can be found at the Fallout feed, and I can be found in the Facebook group. I'd like to thank everyone for downloading this edition of the Fallout feed. We'll see you in the Wasteland.
Thank you for downloading this episode of the Fallout Feed Roundtable. If you are interested in doing a play-along character with us, the show can be contacted by emailing falloutroundtable@gmail.com. For the Roundtable schedule, our Amazon link, and all other show information, please head on over to asapodcasting.com. where you will find the Fallout feed, a Skyrimatic podcast, our YouTube channel, the Chatterbox, as well as other content. Once again, thank you for downloading, and we'll see you in the wasteland.
I haven't touched it. You wait till they're not looking at you. You squat, and then you do a thing.
Oh, wait, he's dead.
I think I liked him more when he was a jerk.
Being a nervous Nelly, found a crevice